Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Earthen's Den. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about The Writer Part 2. First and foremost, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. I am so thankful for this platform. I would have never thought that I would enjoy podcasting as much as I do. In the beginning, I was like, I don't really know. But something told me just kind of to stick with it. And of course, that something was God. So I'm just very thankful for that. And I'm thankful for the people that listen in to this podcast and who's really sitting in these spaces with me. So this is going to be about The Writer Part 2, and I'll just kind of be talking about my experiences and a little bit about me. So one of the things that I love about writing is that you get to tell the truth, and it's your truth. And I've never really been one to want to combat with people about the truth. Growing up, I think everybody has had their own fair share of experiences in regards to feeling invalidated. So when it came to writing, I didn't have to argue with anybody. I didn't have to go back and forth in combat in regards to my opinions versus your opinions. And when it came to writing specifically memoirs and kind of like in a, I don't know, biography type style, I guess that's how I would just describe it. I just realized it's my truth, it's my story, and I finally get to tell it. And for me, it was always about expression. It was always about expression. And I tell people all the time, when it came to fashion, it was something I didn't really want to pursue because maybe it was a gift that I took for granted. It came very easily to me, and though I enjoyed expressing myself, I did not feel the same connection with people in that realm. And so that was a career or a gift that I didn't decide to perfect and pursue. I decided to kind of just stick to my writing, especially when I started to see how, you know, I was impacting people, and how I was connecting with people and inspiring them. I had this blog and I was just writing on it after college. I didn't really know, I really didn't know that it would take me here. I really didn't have a clue. And then when it came to podcasting on SoundCloud, I had no clue. Again, that level of naivete just really, I guess it kind of just carried through with everything. And that was back in 2018. So podcasting, it wasn't as big as it was now, so I just kind of was rolling with the punches. I was on GarageBand at the time. I had bought some equipment, and yeah, I was podcasting at my sister's house because that's where I was staying at the time. And you know, I don't even remember what I was talking about, but I remember kind of feeling free. Like I could share my voice. And I think at the end of the day, each person wants to be heard. Each person wants to be understood and felt and seen. And so when it came to my voice, it was always something that was kind of ushered in the background. I never was the type of person to be expressive vocally. I was always like a very shy girl growing up. And so when I started speaking, it was just something it was dope, and I really loved it. And it was like just me in that room, you know what I mean? And I got to talk from my perspective, and I got to really say what I always wanted to say and what I've always felt, but just never said it. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't have anybody invalidating me. I didn't have anybody, and so the beautiful thing about art and truth is like when you're in that space and you're in that arena, it feels good to be supported. It feels good to be supported when you're telling the truth. And that was just something I always knew about myself, and they say sometimes if you don't know who you are, you can start by knowing who you are not. And I knew that I wasn't a liar. I knew that I wasn't somebody who was deceitful and deceptive. I knew that I wasn't somebody who was manipulative. I knew that I wasn't the type of person to be malicious. And I had never been a jealous person. I remember in college, growing up, I was young when I went to college. I was like 17. So I really had no clue about life, about anything. And it was honestly probably one of the most scariest experiences because I was way out. Like, I wasn't way out. I was like 3 hours away from home, and it was like the rainiest day when I left for college. My mom couldn't take me because, I had a younger siblings that she had to look after. So my dad took me, him and my grandpa. It was just rainy, and my dad was just zooming up the highway. It was like mad traffic, and I was crying. I was just like crying silently in the background because I don't know. It was just And so when we got there, you know, my dad has always been the type of person who was just like real hard on, real serious, right? And so we get into this room. They were saying like it was like orientation. Now, this is probably one of the most unconventional experiences in regards to college, the college experience, because I had never took a tour of the university I went to. I went to Bowling Green State University, and it's up in Bowling Green, Ohio, not Kentucky. So I didn't have a tour of the building. I didn't have no like I had no idea where I was at and where I was going and anything. I haven't even like been to an orientation. So I literally was visiting the college, right? I had to deal with finances and financial aid, and I had to figure out a dorm. You know, I had to do all of that in this one particular day, and I moved in that same day. So there was no college experience, right? I think I always wanted to really get away because I just felt, you know, growing up the way I did and the house that I was in, you know, my mother was really sad all the time. And I really picked up on a lot of that energy. And so I carried that with me. So I think for me, it was like I was such in a hurry to get away because I just kind of wanted to be Jalen, you know, and just kind of like experience life. But it was so tough, you know. So anyway, I moved in. I had to go like deal with the bursar's office, and I had to do all of those things in one day. And I remember my dad and my grandpa, they came and they moved my stuff in. I didn't really have much, which is weird now that I think about it, but I didn't really have much. And they moved my bed up, and it was so scary because I had this. I was the only person on campus. Like, I'm sure there probably were other students in other residence halls, but I was the only one in my residence hall. My RA wasn't even there. There was nobody in this residence hall but me. It was so scary because it was an older building. Like, the stalls were communal, the restrooms were communal. So it was probably like one of the most scariest things that I think, you know, looking back, obviously it probably wasn't that bad. But yeah, so I don't even think I had like Wi-Fi. Like, I just ended up just going to sleep. Like, I just was like crying, going to sleep because it was just such a just dark experience, right? So anyway, moving forward, I ended up meeting this girl, and I found her on Instagram. I thought she was so pretty, you know, and I was like, I just got to be friends with her. Like, I just want to be in her circle. Like, she's just so pretty. Like, so she was older than me, not much older, but like what do you call it? Not a semester, like a grade or whatever, I guess you could say. And anyway, so that was a very interesting experience for me because for the first time, I was kind of hanging out with a girl who's a little bit older, and you know, the experience in itself it was crazy. It was like, I think for me, I really wanted to. I don't know what I was looking for in that. I guess I just was looking for like a friend, but you know, it turned out she really wasn't a nice girl. You know what I mean? And in that moment, I knew that I felt like a lot of people had made those assumptions about me. And I think in a way, I kind of started to do the people pleasing and all, you know, this whole rampage of approval because I didn't want to be stereotyped as that. And I didn't realize that it was a stereotype until I kind of got a little bit older and I started seeing how people would treat me and the things that people would say and just the assumptions that were, you know, followed by my appearance. So anyway, I pretty much just knew that that's just the route I didn't want to take, and so yeah, I don't think at the time I was writing. I was studying like biology, so you know, like honestly, I feel like when you're a science major, like you really don't have time for anything recreational. Like anything that you're doing is gonna be geared towards, you know what I mean. So I really didn't have like a real since and then, like I said too, I was just very young. So yeah, I don't think I was writing then. Like usually I always write, but I don't think I was writing then. I don't really know what I was doing those seasons. And I don't think looking back on it, I really don't know. I think I was kind of just like lost, you know, just kind of like in the current moment, figuring it out. You know what I mean? So yeah, but when I did get a little bit older and I came back and I was going to change majors to journalism, but I didn't. I was going to do organizational leadership. And it's so funny how when you look back at some moments in your life and you realize the pieces kind of start to connect just a little bit, you know, and I think that's the beautiful thing about life is that everything is connected and it really all comes full circle, you know, and I think that that is so beautiful. And so I've always been the type of person to sow good seeds, you know, and I don't think So like even before, I knew or I had an understanding that it all comes full circle. That was just the person that I was, and I think I really always knew that I was that type of person. You know what I mean? So anyway, like I said, I'm not a perfect person. Of course not. I've made mistakes. I've done things. You know what I mean? I'm a human, but I knew that I wasn't somebody who was malicious. So anyway, yeah, like that's one of the things that I love about writing, and I think at any given moment when it comes to literature, you can change the story. At each chapter it unfolds something new, and I think that that's probably one of the things that I love about it. And so in my book Seasons, it's so beautiful the way that I structured it, and it was very intentional because the body of work in itself, I understood that you can change the chapter, and I understood that seasons do change and that you go through things in life, but it gets better, and even when it's dark, it still gets better, and even when you have certain things going on, there's still a ray of sunshine, so it was really cool because I got to kind of put life all in one book, and it was dope because I tailored it to my specific experiences, but it's something it's timeless. You know what I mean? And that's just what I love about creating. So yeah, it's so important to me to tell the story the real way and the truthful way. And I think sometimes people think that, oh, you're sharing your business, or oh, you're telling too much, or you're in those spaces where it's like you got a sob story, or some people may equate that to like a victim mentality, but I think that's life, and I personally couldn't tell the story other than the way that I'm telling it. I don't really know another way, but to tell the truth. And so to me, I think that that's just what matters to me. You know what I mean? I think when you kind of sit in a space and, you know, you you may not have to be as detailed, but I just think that to try to tell the story in another way that's just not true, then it doesn't really, it's not the same. But I think that's another thing too about intention. Everybody's intentions in different spaces is not the same, and it's not honest. So I think, when it comes to whatever it is that you want to do in life, you should pursue it, because you're so unique, and everybody's got a different intention in every space, in every arena, so I don't really think that it's oversaturated. I think it's just about, you know, finding or creating that space with your intention. You know what I mean? And I think when you create your intention and you open up that door, I feel like your space will be filled with the things that are for you. So I don't really think that you should ever feel that way, about anything that you want to do, because you can totally do it, and the space will definitely be made, you know. I thought about just my own experiences in regards to life, and about my writing journey. Yeah, like when I was writing on that blog, I had no clue. But I also didn't really feel like it was good enough. And I realized just recently how I was always striving to be something bigger and better to make my dad proud, right? I think it's this pastor, R.C. Briggs, he calls it the approval trap, and I feel that that's real, but yeah, so in the beginning, I didn't really think what I was doing had any significance. I was like, I'm just getting it all off my chest. You know what I mean? But I didn't realize that I was making an impact with my words. And so it just all comes full circle. I know, like, my love language is like words of affirmation, like, you know what I mean? And so now, loving the work that I do and doing the work that I do, it makes so much sense. When I was going to pursue organizational leadership, I always had dreams and ambitions and goals of impacting the youth in some way. I always wanted to help young girls. Like, I just think that for me, it was just something I was very passionate about. Of course, that probably was rooted in my own experiences, my own childhood and lack thereof, or whatever, and then when it came to journalism, I just loved learning and I loved writing. And so it was kind of just like it went hand in hand. Now, I didn't pursue either one of those degrees, but I stepped into a different space and I realized just how the passion for both kind of tied into each other. And so, yeah, it really all comes full circle. And I definitely think when it comes to life, you have to just be attentive and be aware and kind of tap into yourself a little bit. When we say tap into yourself, I think we always kind of look at it in a sense of like selfishness, or we'll look at it in a sense where we're like self-centered. It's like one end of the pendulum or the other, but So I think at the end of the day, it's about paying attention to the signs in your life and knowing what type of person that you're not, and it's about being attentive to you, and like really figuring out your needs and like what you need, in regards to expression, in regards to your soul, in regards to your spirit, in regards to, and that just kind of applies to every aspect of your life. And I think that that right there is real freedom. I really do. I think that that right there is real freedom and honesty, man. Like being honest with yourself about the things that you want. One of the things I can honestly say that I've learned just recently was to not be so hasty. Don't move so hastily. Like, don't be so in a rush to jump on opportunities. Just because an opportunity comes your way does not mean that you need to take it. You know what I mean? And knowing the season that you're in is important as well. But just not being so quick to just take every opportunity that comes your way. Sometimes it can seem like a good opportunity, and it actually very much may be. But there are just things that you should always consider when you think about like change and commitment. you know and I'm not talking about commitment just in regards to relations. I'm talking about commitment in every aspect of your life. Like just think about those things. And I'm talking about from the littlest things, like, hey, do you need a gym membership, or do you just need to figure out like a little YouTube workout plan? You know what I mean? Like, it's just about figuring out those things, and like being honest with yourself. Like, what is it that I need? And does this commitment that I'm about to make, is it going to meet my need? Is it going to help me get to where it is that I'm going? You know what I mean? And that's not in terms of usefulness. Like, that's not in terms of taking advantage of somebody. That's in terms of just knowing what's good for you. You know what I mean? I think taking care of yourself is often misconstrued with, this whole concept of like the self, just like absorbed person. You know what I mean? But that's not true. That's not true at all. So those are just some things that I've learned, and I just wanted to get on here and share that with you guys. I know this episode was a little janky. I actually left my phone. I left my phone in the car last night, so I didn't have my phone, and so I had to bring out the old handy dandy, and I had to plug it up to my computer, that's one of the things I love about Anchor, you guys. Like, you can literally record this stuff from your computer. You don't have to, do anything other than just setting it up. So that's something that I really, really love, and I didn't even know that this was a feature. And another thing, I'm going to end with this too, because this is real, you guys. I kid you not. If you do not know your passion, if you do not know your purpose, if you do not know what it is that you love to do, you've got to, honestly, hear me clearly, you guys. You've got to be willing to try different things. Do all of the things that you like. And the thing that you stick with the most is the thing that you should pursue. And obviously, you have to be good at it, right? I really, really, really feel like I found it because I just was like staying true to myself and doing what felt good, and like not listening to what everybody else was saying I should do. Though I did kind of follow in that path when I went to college and things like that, whatever. But I really stuck with my guns and what it was that I wanted to do. And so I think that you have to do that. You have to do that. And understand that you got to create opportunities for yourself. Like, I didn't realize how much I love this, but I love it so much that I don't make excuses. And here I am. I found a way to get it up and running. I found a way to still continuously podcast and do what I love without any excuses. I don't make any excuses for this because I love it that much. And I realized that in the past I made excuses, but I knew I wasn't the type of person, right? See, it's about knowing who you're not. And I knew that I was somebody who was very ambitious, and anything I said I wanted to do, I was going to do it. Oh, yeah, I pursued it. So when I wasn't pursuing certain things, I knew that I had to be real with myself. I had to be honest. And I was like, okay, straight up, this is not what you want. You don't want this, Jalen, because everything that you've ever said you was going to do, you do, and so you have to be real with yourself. And I just had to just drop that because I'm telling you, honey, if you're making excuses, that's not what you want. Okay. And that's okay. And if it don't feel right, then let it go so that the right piece can come into your life. All right. So thanks, guys, so much for listening to this podcast. I had fun. I'm going to just end this. So I'm going to leave you guys with your thoughts. Thank you for joining me.